They called her Baby Doc and rolled their eyes when she spoke. She looked too young, too small, too inexperienced to handle real emergencies. But when the helicopter went down in enemy territory and seasoned paramedics froze, she stepped forward, and what happened next would haunt their nightmares and earn their deepest respect forever. Second Lieutenant Amy Phoenix Chen looked like she'd gotten lost on her way to high school rather than completing advanced trauma training at Walter Reed. At barely 5 feet 2 inches with a face that could pass for 16 and a voice that hadn't quite shed its nervous tremor when addressing senior personnel, she moved through the 82nd Airborne's medical unit like a shadow, trying not to be noticed. Her hands seemed too small for the massive trauma kits she carried. Her frame appeared too delicate for the brutal realities of combat medicine, and her youthful appearance made veteran medics question whether she'd ever seen anything worse than a scraped knee. But Staff Sergeant Rodriguez had noticed something odd during equipment checks. The kid handled her sidearm like she'd been born with it. And those nervous hands? They moved across medical supplies with a precision that seemed almost automatic. The veteran medics treated her like a mascot rather than a colleague. Baby Doc, when they were feeling generous, the kid, when discussing assignments among themselves, or simply excluded entirely when real medical emergencies required experienced hands. None of these combat-tested medics had bothered investigating her background, her specialized training, or why someone so young had been assigned to an elite airborne medical unit. Lieutenant Chen's daily routine reinforced their assumptions about her inexperience. She arrived early and stayed late, meticulously studying medical protocols that veterans knew by heart, obsessively checking equipment with nervous energy, and maintaining anxious perfectionism that seasoned medics associated with rookies. Her competence in controlled situations was undeniable, her medical knowledge was textbook perfect, and her dedication was admirable. But none of that mattered to veterans who believed real combat medicine could only be learned through blood and screaming. Thompson had caught her during a supply run, reciting trauma procedures under her breath. But the procedures she was mumbling weren't from any textbook he recognized. They sounded like field modifications, the kind developed under fire. Welcome to Silent Salute, where we discover that the most underestimated warriors often carry the heaviest secrets. Before we reveal this incredible story of courage under fire, tell us in the comments which country you're watching from today. And if you believe that true strength often comes in the smallest packages, hit that subscribe button to support our mission. We're honored to share these extraordinary stories of hidden heroism with you. The mission briefing came down like thunder. Immediate medical evacuation required for a special forces team conducting classified reconnaissance in hostile territory. Their helicopter had taken an RPG hit during extraction and crash-landed in a valley surrounded by enemy forces. 4 operators were down with critical injuries. The pilot was unconscious with head trauma, and the co-pilot had arterial bleeding that was killing him fast. The medical evacuation team assembled represented the cream of military medical expertise. Staff Sergeant Maria Iron Rodriguez had pulled wounded soldiers from burning vehicles in 3 war zones. Sergeant First Class David Bulldog Thompson had performed field surgery under mortar fire. Sergeant Jake Steady Williams had coordinated medical evacuations in the most dangerous special forces operations. These were the medics who got called when situations were too dangerous for normal personnel. Lieutenant Chen was assigned as supplemental support, carry extra medical supplies, assist with basic tasks, and hopefully not freeze when bullets started flying. Her role was simple: stay out of the way while real medics did real work. As rescue helicopters lifted off, the veterans shared dark humor that characterized medical personnel who had seen too much death. "Hope the kid doesn't puke when she sees what an RPG does to human bodies," Rodriguez commented. "Baby Doc's about to get her first real lesson in combat medicine," Thompson added. During the 28-minute flight over increasingly hostile territory, Chen remained silent, studying protocols on her tablet. But Williams noticed something strange. She wasn't reading basic trauma procedures. The screen showed advanced tactical medical formations and something that looked like classified operational documents. Intelligence reports indicated heavy enemy movement, with multiple anti-aircraft weapons actively hunting the downed helicopter. The rescue would be fast, precise, and executed under fire, the kind of operation that separated experienced combat medics from medical personnel who had never faced real combat. The crash site appeared below like a scene from hell. The Special Forces helicopter lay twisted and smoking in a narrow valley, surrounded by rocky terrain perfect for enemy concealment. Smoke rose from multiple points, indicating recent enemy activity, and no movement from the aircraft suggested the wounded operators were unconscious or too badly injured to signal. Hot LZ. Hot LZ. The pilot's voice crackled as incoming fire erupted from multiple positions. Taking fire from the ridge line. Fast insertion. The rescue helicopter touched down under automatic weapons fire. The medical team sprinted toward the crashed aircraft while rounds snapped past their heads and kicked up dirt around their feet. Rodriguez reached the crash site first, immediately assessing casualties while returning fire. Multiple critical injuries. Pilots unconscious with head trauma. Co-pilots got arterial bleeding. 2 operators down with chest wounds. The scene inside the helicopter was a medical nightmare. Blood covered every surface. The pilot was unconscious with skull fracture leaking cerebrospinal fluid. The co-pilot was conscious but in shock from blood loss. And 2 Special Forces operators had chest wounds causing breathing failure, a condition that would kill them within minutes. Thompson began working on arterial bleeding while Williams assessed the chest wounds. Chen positioned herself near the tail section, apparently overwhelmed by the severity and incoming fire intensity. "Baby Doc, we need blood products," Rodriguez shouted while applying pressure to a sucking chest wound. "These guys are bleeding out." But as Chen moved toward casualties, incoming fire intensified dramatically. Enemy forces had repositioned to target the rescue site directly, automatic weapons shredding the helicopter's fuselage, while mortars began falling around the crash site. Multiple enemy positions converging, the pilot reported through static. Heavy small arms and indirect fire. Immediate extraction or we lose everyone. The situation deteriorated with terrifying speed. Rodriguez took shrapnel in her shoulder from an exploding mortar and couldn't maintain pressure. Thompson was forced to take cover as machine gun fire raked the helicopter. Williams was pinned by sniper fire and couldn't reach the dying operators. "We're losing them," Rodriguez screamed over gunfire. "I can't maintain pressure with this shoulder. Chest wounds are decompensating," Thompson shouted while returning fire. "They need immediate intervention or they die." It was at this moment, with veteran medics pinned down, critical patients dying from treatable injuries, and the entire rescue operation collapsing, that something extraordinary happened. Lieutenant Chen stopped looking like a scared rookie and started moving with the fluid precision of someone who had done this before under worse conditions. "Rodriguez, Williams, establish security perimeter and suppress those snipers," she commanded with a voice that had lost every trace of nervous uncertainty. "Thompson, maintain pressure while I handle the chest wounds." The transformation was so complete that the veteran medics stopped and stared. The scared rookie had disappeared, replaced by someone who moved through gunfire like she owned the battlefield. Chen reached the first operator and began performing needle decompression while automatic weapons fire chattered around the helicopter. Her hands moved with surgical precision despite incoming rounds. Her technique was textbook perfect under impossible conditions. Her focus was absolute despite the chaos. First operator stabilized. She reported calmly while moving to the second casualty. Breathing improved, pulse strengthening. But what happened next revealed the true extent of Chen's hidden capabilities. As she worked on the second chest wound, enemy forces launched a coordinated assault. Automatic weapons. Fire intensified, mortar rounds fell closer, and enemy fighters advanced through rocks toward the wounded Americans. Instead of taking cover, Chen continued medical procedures while simultaneously coordinating defensive fire with the precision of a seasoned combat commander. Williams, suppressive fire on ridge line at 2 o'clock. Rodriguez, cover the north approach while maintaining chest pressure. Thompson, keep working. I've got security. While performing life-saving procedures on dying operators, Chen began engaging enemy positions with her sidearm with accuracy that defied explanation. Her shots were precise and effective, dropping advancing fighters while never interrupting her medical work. "How the hell is she doing that?" Thompson shouted while watching Chen perform medicine with one hand and return accurate fire with the other. "Who the hell is this kid?" Rodriguez yelled while realizing the baby doc they'd been mocking was now saving all their lives. Chen completed stabilization on the second operator while simultaneously directing tactical movements that kept enemy forces from overrunning their position. Her medical work was flawless, her tactical awareness was extraordinary, her combat skills were unlike anything the veterans had witnessed. Both operators stabilized, she reported while reloading and assessing the pilot's head trauma. Rodriguez, assist with cervical stabilization. Williams, overwatch on northern approach. Thompson, prepare for immediate extraction. The veteran medics found themselves following orders from someone they'd treated like a liability minutes earlier. But Chen's competence under fire was so overwhelming they responded without question, understanding she was the only reason any of them were still alive. Working under continuous enemy fire, Chen performed advanced trauma procedures that stabilized all 4 casualties while coordinating defensive operations that kept enemy forces at bay. Her hands moved with master surgeon precision, while her tactical awareness rivaled seasoned special operations commanders. Extraction helicopter inbound, the radio crackled. Immediate casualty evacuation needed. Roger. Chen responded while treating the pilot's skull fracture. For critical casualties stabilized and ready. Enemy forces suppressed but active. Need covering fire for evacuation. As extraction helicopters approached under heavy fire, Chen coordinated casualty movement with the efficiency of someone who had done this countless times. Her medical work had saved all 4 casualties. Her tactical leadership had kept the rescue team alive. Her combat skills had prevented enemy overrun. The extraction was successful. All casualties survived transportation to advanced medical facilities where they would make full recoveries. But questions about Chen's extraordinary performance were just beginning. I've been doing this for 15 years, Rodriguez said during post-mission debriefing, and I've never seen anyone perform advanced trauma procedures while fighting off enemy forces. Where did that come from? Baby Doc just saved all our lives while performing procedures I couldn't do in a sterile operating room, Thompson added with obvious amazement. That wasn't luck or beginner's adrenaline. That was serious combat medical experience. Colonel Patricia Hawk Morrison, the unit's commanding officer, decided to provide context about what they had actually witnessed. Gentlemen, Morrison announced, Lieutenant Chen isn't the inexperienced rookie you assumed. She's someone whose medical and tactical capabilities have been proven under the most extreme conditions imaginable. The revelation hit the medical unit like an artillery strike. The baby doc they'd been mocking was actually someone with operational experience that exceeded their combined backgrounds. Colonel, Williams asked, what's Lieutenant Chen's actual background? Lieutenant Chen was previously assigned to classified medical operations with Special Operations Forces, Morrison explained. Her youthful appearance and quiet demeanor are operational advantages that allowed her to function in environments where experienced-looking medical personnel would have been targeted immediately. Rodriguez stepped forward with obvious respect. Lieutenant Chen, what specific operations required that level of integration between advanced trauma medicine and combat operations? Chen's answer provided insight into missions most military medical personnel never encounter. My previous assignments involved providing medical support for special operations teams in denied territory where traditional medical evacuation wasn't possible and medical personnel had to function as both trauma specialists and combatants. Thompson, who had initially dismissed Chen's capabilities, was beginning to understand he had been working alongside someone whose experience far exceeded his own. Lieutenant, your performance under fire was unlike anything I've encountered in 3 deployments. Where did you develop those combat medical skills? Chen's response revealed the complexity of her background. Combat medical operations require understanding that saving lives and staying alive are not separate missions. They're the same mission performed simultaneously under extreme stress. Morrison provided additional context about Chen's assignment. Lieutenant Chen was assigned here not as a rookie needing experience, but as someone whose proven capabilities could enhance our unit's effectiveness while maintaining operational security about her background. Over the following weeks, Chen transitioned from her cover role as an inexperienced medic to acknowledged leadership in advanced trauma training. Her combination of youthful appearance and extraordinary capabilities created training opportunities that had never been possible with conventional medical instructors. What Lieutenant Chen demonstrated Morrison explained to the medical unit, is that combat medical excellence often requires capabilities that extend far beyond traditional medical training. Her ability to save lives while fighting for survival represents the highest level of military medical proficiency. Chen worked with the veteran medics to develop training scenarios that integrated advanced trauma medicine with combat operations under fire. Her techniques emphasize the reality that combat medics must be prepared to function as both medical professionals and fighting members of tactical teams. The operations I've been involved in, Chen explained to her former skeptics, required understanding that in special operations medicine, there's no such thing as a safe medical environment. Every medical procedure must be designed for implementation while under attack. Rodriguez, who had initially treated Chen like a liability, became one of her most dedicated students. Lieutenant Chen, your approach to integrating trauma medicine with combat operations has completely changed how I think about battlefield medicine. You've shown us that the most effective combat medics are those who can save lives and fight simultaneously. The combat medical techniques that Chen developed were eventually adopted throughout airborne medical units, establishing new standards for integrated medical tactical capability. Her methods influenced military medical training worldwide and enhanced survival rates for special operations personnel globally. But perhaps Chen's greatest contribution was demonstrating that true combat medical excellence required integration of advanced medical skills with tactical proficiency that allowed medical personnel to function effectively in the most dangerous operational environments. The story of Lieutenant Phoenix Chen became legendary in military medical communities, shared with new medics as an example of how extraordinary combat capabilities often hide behind the most unassuming appearances. Her example reminded combat medical professionals that the most dangerous assumptions are those based on age, appearance, or perceived experience levels. Years later, when Chen transitioned to other classified assignments, her legacy lived on in the integrated medical tactical techniques she developed and in the understanding that combat medical excellence often requires maintaining operational security about previous experience and proven capabilities. Her story reminded everyone that in military medicine, as in combat itself, the most dangerous assumptions are those we make about people based on their appearance rather than their proven performance under fire. Because the most exceptional combat medics are often those who look least likely to survive their first real emergency. This story was brought to you by Silent Salute. Before we leave you today, here's our question. Have you ever discovered that someone you underestimated based on their age or appearance actually possessed extraordinary capabilities that they kept hidden? Have you encountered people whose youthful looks concealed remarkable experience and expertise? Tell us in the comments about the moments when you realized you'd been working alongside someone whose capabilities far exceeded your assumptions. And if you believe that true expertise often comes in the most unexpected packages, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. No one calls her Baby Doc anymore, not after that day.